Servant of God is a term used for individuals by various people believed to be pious in the faith's tradition. In the Catholic Church, it is the first step in designating an individual who is being investigated by the Church for possible canonization as a saint. And let us have a look who is servant of God in the Catholic Church. Servant of God is an expression used for a member of the Catholic Church whose life and works are being investigated in consideration for official recognition by Pope and the Catholic Church as a saint in heaven. The term servant of God is used in the first of the 4 steps in the canonization process. The next step is being declared venerable, upon a decree of heroism or martyrdom by the honored. That is followed by beatification with the title of blessed. After the confirmation of miracles resulting from the intercession of the honored, the final step is canonization, where the honored would receive the title of saint. These are the process for the canonization is under the jurisdiction of the Congregation for the Causes of Saints, and the name Servant of God is a technical term used in the process of beatification. As same as above, in India there are 12 members who raised to the stage Servant of God in the Roman Catholic Church. They got this name by their prayer, service and spirit-filled life, lifted them up to the sainthood. Today, especially, we will see the life history of the servant of Joseph Louis Ravel, who is the founder of the Congregation of the Franciscan Sisters of the Presentation of Mary, Coimbatore. France has a special place among the European countries. It is the second largest economic zone in Europe. In the region of Alpes-de-Haute-Provence in the southeast of France known as Valurnes, Joseph Louis Ravel was born to a rich landlord, Mr. Pierre-Joseph Ravel and Mrs. Françoise Armand, on 24 August 1824. Joseph Louis Ravel had 2 sisters. His elder sister Mary Elizabeth Ravel was born in 1828, and Henrietta Françoise Ravel, born in 1835, was the youngest in the family. These children were brought up in piety and good manners by their parents. He had his early education in his native place Valurnes and continued his higher education in a nearby town Sisteron, which was 12 kilometers from Valurnes. It was here that he felt his divine call and decided to offer himself to God. When he revealed his wish to his parents, they accepted God's will wholeheartedly. Later in 1844, he joined the diocesan seminary at Digne. He continued his priestly formation in the Diocesan Seminary of Digne until he received his tonsure. When he was at the Diocesan Seminary of Digne, he came to know about the selfless service of the priests belonging to Society of the Foreign Missionaries of Paris. This impact propelled him to join the Foreign Missionaries of Paris on 11th of July 1846. After the completion of his studies, he was ordained as a priest on 17th of June 1848. He left for India on 6th of July 1848 and landed at Pondicherry in India on 28th of December 1848. Father Joseph Louis Ravel reached Coimbatore in 1849 and he learned the local language easily and began his missionary work. He had a great thirst for saving souls, and he, through his love, prudence and his charitable works, conquered the hearts of the simple people and earned the souls for the kingdom of God. In May 1849, he was sent to Polycot by Bishop Manager Marion de Bresolac. In May 1850 he took charge of at St. Sebastian's Church, Polycot, as its parish priest. When the high caste people neglected the marginalized, Father Ravel brought in fraternity and equality among the people of all castes. In 1852, the servant of God took charge of Carumathan Patti as its parish priest. When education was denied to women in India in 1850, Bishop Manager Marion de Bresolac assigned him the work of founding a new religious congregation of indigenous women to educate the girls. It was Father Ravel who laid the foundation to bring the dead body into the church, pray for the dead person and bury the body with due respect according to the teachings of the Mother Church. Savariamal, a young girl of Marianelur, wished to consecrate her life to the service of God in the religious state, though she had never seen a nun or a convent. After having deeply considered the matter, taken advice and prayed, he decided to admit her as a postulant on 21st of November 1853 on the feast day of the Presentation of the Blessed Virgin Mary. He started the congregation at Karumathanpati. During her postulancy and novitiate, Savarayamal received her spiritual training and she was allowed to take the religious vows of chastity, poverty, and obedience. Thus in 1853 on November 21, the Congregation of the Franciscan Sisters of the Presentation of the Blessed Virgin Mary was founded. In 1854 following Savarayamal 3 other girls joined the congregation as postulants. The headquarters of the congregation was shifted from Karumathanpati to Coimbatore Generalate in 1859. Then the servant of God was transferred to the seminary as its rector. When an epidemic broke out in 1857, Father Ravel was also affected by it. However, he continued to work with courage, a never-fading smile from his face even in his fragile health. He started an orphanage for girls in Coimbatore and an orphanage for boys in Karumathanpati in 1859. A part of the shelters for pilgrims was built by Reverend Father Ravel in 1860. He also built a church in Palapalayam along with Rev.Fr. Errol Natharan 1862 and dedicated it to Our Lady of Mount Carmel. Father Ravel was transferred to Wellington in 1864, where he built a church and a presbytery. He was back to the seminary in Coimbatore as the rector in 1872 and devoted himself completely to the formation of the seminarians. He served as parish priest of St. Michael's Cathedral from May 1874 to June 1875, where he started a Presentation Convent Girls' School, Coimbatore. From Coimbatore, he was transferred to Coonoor in 1875, where he began a primary school in 1876 and handed over to the Presentation Sisters. The servant of God became sick because of his long and strenuous journeys, and the epidemic affected his health very badly. Despite his ill health, he continued his missionary work in Coonoor with zeal. In 1875 Father Ravel opened a school for Indian girls at Coonoor and entrusted it to the Indian Presentation Sisters. For 5 to 6 days before Christmas of 1880, he had become very sick and his vision deteriorated. He celebrated the Christmas Mass of 1880 and that was the last Eucharist he offered. The Bishop of Coimbatore manager Joseph Bardu brought Father Ravel to Coimbatore to take great care of him. Rev. Father Joseph Louis Ravel gave out his last breath on 31st of January 1881 at 00:45 am. He was buried at the cemetery at Sangam, Coimbatore. Later the grave was renovated and his mortal remains were transferred from Sangam to the Generalate of Presentation Sisters on 1st of June 2009 with the permission of the Bishop of Coimbatore Most Rev. Dr. Thomas Aquinas during the time of Mother General Celine Nirmala. In 1865 Senior Santhayamal was appointed as the Superior General of the congregation by the then Bishop of Coimbatore. Later she was re-elected by the sisters on 24th of November 1872. On 16th of December 1926, the then Bishop of Coimbatore manager Augustine Roy erected the Presentation Congregation as of a diocesan right according to Canon 488,3. In the year 2000 on 15th December, the congregation was raised to the status of pontifical right by the letter given by Eduardo Card Martinez Samalo, prefect of the Congregation for the Institutes of Consecrated Life and Secular Institutes. In the year 1953 the congregation celebrated its centenary and in 2003 its 150th year. Today the congregation has its communities all over the world, i.e. Zambia in Africa, France and Italy in Europe and Delhi, Jammu Kashmir, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Andhra, Karnataka, Kerala and Tamil Nadu in India. Observing his chaste life, the pontiff at Rome dispatched a letter worded in Latin, dated August 3, 2019 to the local ordinary Most Rev. Dr. L. Thomas Aquinas, the Bishop of Coimbatore, commissioning him to elevate Rev. Fr. Joseph Louis Ravel to the status of the Servant of God. The Xerox of Nihilobstat obtained from Roman English had been handed over to the Congregation Superior General Very Rev. Mother Celine Nirmala on April 16, 2019 by the Bishop. Finally, in response to applications forwarded by the postulator and vice postulator, their request was accepted, to raise the servant of God Joseph Louis Ravel to the eminence of blessed and saint. With the consent of the Bishop of Coimbatore, in his presence, a solemn opening session with a special Eucharistic concelebration was grandly hosted at the premises of the Basilica of Our Lady of Holy Rosary, Karumatampati on January 14, 2020. With the approval of the Association of Catholic Bishops of Tamil Nadu, the Church proclaimed Father Joseph Louis Ravel as the servant of God. So, let us follow our servant of God Joseph Louis Ravel's spirit-filled life and service. Leads us to holiness. Thank you.